Hi, welcome to the Story in Your Head. Today we're going to focus on creating and merging corporate cultures, like when you bring two groups together. I'm Ron Macklin. We've got Deb Dendy, Eric Stiller, and RJ. Eric, could you do just a brief, short elevator speech introduction?
Sure. So I'm Eric Stiller. I'm married to my wife, Mary Beth, 32 years, a couple of great kids here in Arizona. I've been a business owner, corporate executive for 30 plus years. I currently hold the role of president of our global wall panel group, working for RJ, who's our CEO. I also own a couple other businesses here in Arizona that one's a pure startup and one's a telecom business, and we're off changing the world.
Thanks, Eric. RJ, could you do a brief introduction for our listeners?
I'm RJ Radobenko. I have a lovely wife named Jessica Radobenko of 16 years, three kids, 16, 14, and 9, girl, boy, girl. And I am the CEO of Global RSW Group, which we have a handful of companies, but roofing is our specialty, as well as wall panels and waterproofing.
Great. Great. Thank you, guys. And thank you both for being on the podcast today. Our focus of the podcast is about creating culture for groups that can really come together and produce extraordinary accomplishments. Extraordinary really means it's better than what you actually thought was possible. Everybody in the group thinks that. So it's what we focus on. That's really what we're looking for here is how do we go about that? What have we learned? What can we share from each other? I know you guys have merged, and RJ, I've heard you've merged a couple groups together. What do you find are some of the challenges of merging groups together and focusing on the culture?
Eric, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. You said, what are the challenges?
Yeah.
Name of your podcast, Stories in Our Head. I guess that's the challenge. So you have an organization, like we had a company that we restarted 10 years ago, and we had a whole bunch of stories about the way to do things and the way we had our failures and we fixed them and we had our things, right? And now you come into another organization that has their set of stories and things that they've fixed. And one of the first challenges is letting go of certainty about how things should be. That's one. That was one for me. The other challenge is, like, we wouldn't have even done this if RJ and I hadn't known from my perspective, let's see what RJ says, but I wouldn't have even wanted to do this or done it if it wouldn't be that we thought at our core, he and I shared like values. Because I know enough from doing this in the past that it doesn't work. Like you just won't. Because something fundamental like a value, like what matters to you, like personally, like no kidding, like in your gut and your heart, if that's not aligned, it can't work. We had that. So then we go, all right.
What were some,
yeah.
Well, Eric, thanks. What were some of those values that you guys shared? And RJ can jump in too. Like, what is those values that you said mattered and you shared them?
Yeah. You want to go ahead, RJ? I mean, go ahead.
I think there's a handful of values, but I think the one thing for me that stuck out was God. So we had a belief that there's something bigger than us that was steering us and guiding us. That was a big thing that resonated with me, at least on my end. I think also core values of how you operate your business. You can operate your business with the pieces of paper and pencil, or you can operate your business with computers and software and technology. And I believe like when we were a global roofing group and Eric was True Metal Solutions at the time, now Global Wall Panel Group. But at the time, we felt that they had some of the most incredible cutting-edge technology, which is also another value for us, a core value. They had incredible fabrication ability that was way above ours. And they also had some engineering and some BDC capability that was way above our capacity. That really excited us. So there was excitement in some things that we saw that they had that we could actually incorporate in our business and make us better. I think we tried to show Eric and his team that we had some stuff on our side, that there's some value there. And we try to align some values around that as well, too. Eric, maybe talk more about that.
The obvious part is, well, I'll say obvious. For my story, it was around, we had a 10-year plan. We're trying to grow. And RJ offered, in addition to what he said about his faith, which is very important to me too, we met in ways that one of those things where, is that an accident? One of those kind of deals? Okay, not really an accident. And so we met in those kind of ways, and we both hit, there's something here we're trying to produce in the world. The way RJ, he won't say it, but the way he cares about the people in the field in particular, like he has just a passion to take care of people, particularly if they're broken people or struggling in whatever way. Like he brings a compassion for people like that absolutely I share, right? And he's better at it in the field than I am. But he's really good at it. And so when I saw that's the kind of thing I was, that's it. Then that was one of those deep core ones, like in the heart one. And I go, okay, if that's where we're headed, I'm in. Then when you talk about like system functional things, like you talked about our technology and stuff. So RJ's got the accounting and the operational systems that we had big gaps in. We had grown to a point where we're punching above our weight, I used to say. What that means to me is we were winning jobs that we weren't operationally equipped to manage well. We needed to hire some better operational staff, but project managers and things, but also the tools and practices. RJ's 20 years down the road from us in that. So that was something we could just adopt and start doing it. Different apps that he has out in the field, talked about technology, but it's really about managing field labor. And one of the things I always say is in my background in aerospace, I got hardware orbiting 4 planets, but the hardest thing I've ever seen to manage is field labor. And he's helping us. So those are a couple of things. And then their size, like we're trying to get bonds, right? So RG's been around for every large company. He's got the size and scale so we could be trusted to do bigger jobs and keep growing. We've got the technology that could add, he would have been trusted size-wise, but maybe didn't have the technology. So between us, we make a really neat possibility for growth.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. And RJ, as I listened to you, like the alignment of those shared values, but then filling in the gaps that each of you don't have, right? Like that you guys complement each other in a way. And Ron, you talked about extraordinary accomplishments. Like how do you guys think about that? Bringing together these two cultures to produce extraordinary accomplishments. How does that trigger you?
You want me to comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, good.
Yeah, please.
RJ,
Go ahead, RJ.
I think there's 3 ways to grow your company, right? You can grow it organically, right? You can go it through acquisitions, and through acquisitions, you can, what we call bolt-on acquisitions. So you just buy another company, you leave it alone, and you let it ride, and hoping that keeps on producing EBITDA for you. And those businesses are plentiful in subcontracting. The mechanical companies, there's a lot of private equities that roll up these things, and it's way harder to integrate the business and roll up all the financials and roll up all the operational pieces and roll in all the systems and roll in all the people. That is a true acquisition integration where you're getting all the value from both entities. So that is a lot harder process, but the return on the time invested and the money invested should create 10 times more value than just adding and bolting on. Now, the hard part is getting people to align politically as well as individual selfish needs. Everybody's humans. Everybody has some type of selfish need. And then also feel like they're still wanted and needed and desired based on how we're doing things. And also, there's a there's a large portion of integration and mergers that are just unknown. You can map out everything on the wall and you're still going to miss a lot, right? So you have to be very nimble to be able to adjust both with personal feelings of the individuals, but also corporate structure as we're trying to graft traction in certain verticals and the way that we're transitioning things. It's a very delicate balance, and there's carnage involved.
Oh, say more about that.
Maybe let Eric and Paul say a little more about the carnage.
That's good.
I can elaborate.
I'll give
go
you
first. Good.
I'll give you my turn. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You want to say something, RJ? I can.
No, you go first. Please.
So it's interesting. I don't know what you exactly mean by carnage. I'll speak to what I might. How can I say it? It's letting go of interpretations, being open to new interpretations, and that can feel like you're losing something. Like we came in and I don't know. Let's just be authentic about coming into the company, right? I know core, I align with RJ, right? But there's all kinds of specifics on the way that I didn't like. When I was frustrated. So then I'm the leader. I'm not gonna try not to show that, right? I'm gonna say, hey, I'm supportive. I was telling RJ there was a time I was calling myself, even to this day, like the chief mood manager for my team. Because I would see, what was that, CMM or Chief Mood Officer, CMO I was, right? And that includes managing my own mood, going home, talking to my wife, talking to others in my networks. And it the stories I was making up. And because we had, like I said, we had 10 years of history of things that we thought were great. And to what RJ said, there was parts of it we just had to rip the Band-Aid off. We just had to. And that's the carnage that maybe you're talking about. We just had to rip the Band-Aid. No, we're not doing it. Not doing the accounting that way. Nope. We're not doing contracts, whatever it might be, right? Each one of those things has different emotional attachments to different people on my team who maybe built that up. And it was like their baby or something, right? And it's okay. We still love you. You are kick-ass. You're a great person. We want you. We want your ideas. We want your contribution. We want your innovations. But don't let that one go. And we'll invent some new one. That's hard, man. I think people were scared. I was scared coming in. What is this going to be? I don't want to lose these people. I want to take care of them. I want to have a good home in their future. Don't know for sure. There's uncertainty. All that to me, I guess, could be carnage. Okay, I'll say carnage of old ways of doing it is what I was thinking. What do you say, Arn?
I would say carnage in the way of, let's say, bad apples, people who don't buy into the system. And it goes from both sides, right?
Yes.
We have some people from our side that necessarily didn't buy into the new direction of the business, right? And they turned into negative Nancy's or people that want to create negativity within the business. And that's bureaucracy. And bureaucracy is horrible for owners and leaders because then we have to fight bureaucracy and we're just trying to row in the right direction to accomplish goals. And fighting bureaucracy is detrimental to the business. So we have to tread lightly, but we had to tread lightly, dealing with individual feelings and individual emotions and massaging the situations. And then we lost some people along the way, right? And it's unfortunate. Sometimes they come back. Actually, most of the time they always come back. But it's okay right now because it's maybe not the right timing for them and they need to go do something else. And then sometime in the future, we believe they'll come back. And that's just part of integration. We had actually no goal of downsizing any teams. That's normal when you're looking at integrations, you're looking for synergies. We're saying, okay, there's 2 accounting people. Okay, we don't need 2, just get rid of 1. Our intention was not to do that at all during this integration period. And then we lost some people along the way and then we gained some people along the way. So I think that's normal and to be expected. But it does hurt too because you've been sitting next to that person for 5 or 10 years working with them and now they're gone. All because Eric and I made a decision.
Yeah.
It's interesting because is it a failure to adapt to the change? Like it sounds like they self-selected or decided that they couldn't manage their mood. So how do you deal with that? You said, RJ, it's okay. They got to go away, right? It's okay for them to go away. The others that are still there, how do you create that space for them to move into, to be a place they want to stay?
I can tell you, one I'm thinking about in particular was in accounting. I forgot about this, RJ, till you started talking about it. My controller ended up not staying with the company. And I personally spent a lot of time working with him to help him see how he could connect into the culture here, right? Because I really wanted him to connect into the culture. I really did. I wanted more than that. I wanted him to be successful. And I got to a point where it's got to be whatever you say. Quit trying to help him plug into this. Just help him plug in wherever that is. He ended up selecting out. I think that at the end of the day, that change was too much for him. To the point of coming back, I don't know. Maybe not. I think he's happy where he went, but it was too much for him. It would have required him to lead and be different than he is. And I love him just like he is, man. He's a perfect guy, just like he is. But it clearly wasn't here. And I've learned since then from my networks outside, gosh, I forget the statistic, daggone it, but it was overwhelming. It was like 80 or 90% of mergers, the financial person changes. Now, listen, and I accept what RG said. I saw no indication that anybody was out to get anybody. Really, I didn't, like not even close. And it just went that way because it's different. And these guys are like, no, I want to do it this way. It's just different. It's like, they didn't want to do that. So we went on to the next thing. Still love them. Still, we'll find a way to work together someday, possibly. And there was a few others from the GRG side that selected out for whatever reason. I don't know that it was related to that or not, but it was during this time.
Thanks, Eric. Go ahead, RJ.
I was just going to say one thing. How can I say this? How can I say this? If I had to, so what I would say is that I would blame carnage on me. And the reason why I would say that is because it's hard to have a full picture and clear understanding of all the impacts that are happening the integration and a merger. And it's hard to look at all the people and all the structures and see how it's going to work. And I think when you look at it in generalities, if it makes 85% sense in general, like it's going to impact the business so we can see a clear path, then we can make a decision to move forward. Now, the challenge obviously is how do you then move forward with all the people, right? Who then it's all change, right? And no one likes change. It's very, very, very limited amount of people like change. So then you're just trying to manage the change and you're trying to create a clear picture of what everything's going to look like. And unfortunately, when you're doing this, you've got a clear outcome you're trying to get to, but you don't really have a clear picture of how you're going to get there. Because you have to take touch and feel a lot of that along the way. It's not map on the whiteboard because you had to jog off the whiteboard. So I think that's the hardest part, is trying to maneuver that and keep everybody engaged. And it's like a bad breakup or a death in the family. It all takes time, and time solves everything. But now I feel like as of right now, we've got everybody really gelling and everybody excited and everybody's on board. And everybody's excited what we're doing. And that's from both sides. And we've got the front end of the business really driving, and the back end of the business is getting excited about what the front end of the business is getting ready to provide for them. So we've got a lot of exciting things going on now, but that takes time.
Thanks, RJ and Eric. I merged a group of 100 people in a different business into my group of 250 people. So there was a substantial group, and this other group that had been around for 30 years, actually 30 years under the same leader.
Oh, geez.
Led the group for all this time, right? Not only was the group going to become ours, he was going to leave, retire. He was out. So there's a place here, you get to all these traditions that are going on in that space, and now we're going to bring it into a new group. And it's only 750 miles away. The distance was substantial, right? And our stand was, we wanted to save everybody. If we wanted to save everybody who was in that group, we wanted to keep them in there, right? But we also had a stand that said, if there's anybody who wants to leave, who doesn't want to be here, let's help them live a good life by moving on, right? And we had 2, right? And I was like a stunned, really, that these people want to move on. It was their story. Like they really loved the old guy that was there the whole time, and it was a good guy, and he was a friend. And you could see they just had this story in their head that no matter how many times we tried to toss lines or shape how they think about it or invite them in to do that, they just didn't want to be here. One of them left immediately, like he was out and gone. That was the easy one. The one that wasn't so easy was one who was like, he didn't want to leave, but he didn't want to stay. Then he was causing, I would say that, hate and discontent, right? And finally we said, we had to move him out of his job in that space, but we kept tossing lines to him, but it was like, he didn't want to be open, right? He was in that space. So finally we had to accept his decline to be inside the business. But then what I love about when you merge a new business in, it's like it's an opportunity to learn new habits and traditions and practices that you didn't have before. And most of them, you didn't even know you didn't have them. Like you said, I don't have this one. You don't know you don't have it because you don't have it. And also there's this new possibility. What new spaces of possibility have shown up for you guys as you brought these two groups together into the space?
I can share something right off the bat. Like I'm sitting in with the sales guys right now, open environment, so I get to hear a lot of what's going on. There is a way of selling that the roofing team does that is much different than the way we've always done it. And I'm not going to say it. And you, RJ, you've told me this before, but it's like the way the first kind of bid request comes out. The plans aren't very complete. We do a quick one. Then it gets a little more, then a little more. Then we get to the end, and we do a real hard bid when it's the final plans. They're like a sequence of seriousness and a level of speed and care that's taken more and more as we go down through the process. Our world has always, it's my narrative, like I brought a different way of thinking about that for our sales process. That was more like from the very first one, we're spending all kinds of time in care and feeding. And what I'm trying on is that, so RJ and his team have been doing construction a lot longer than me. I've been doing it for about 10 years. You guys have been doing it for, I don't know, RJ, 40 or 60 or something. A long time. 40. How long have you been in the business?
It's 50, or not me personally, but 53 years.
53 years.
Yeah.
So they got practices and it's evolved or whatever. But it's okay. Like I see what I see from what I brought from high tech sales and higher, much more, it's relationship based, but it's also offer and lots of help the whole way through it and a lot of design assist kind of stuff that I see that there's another way, that there are some opportunities that we should do that because it's lower total cost. It's been hard for me to swallow a little bit because I don't want to give up that touch, that high hair environment, but we can't go at the pace and grow at the pace doing it that way. So that's one I would say that I see that I'm working through for me.
Awesome. What do you see, RJ?
So, I'm on the flip flop of that one. Ours is the design assist sales process that the metal team has that is super unique, where we're helping an owner, an architect, and a general contractor at the infancy of the construction process, helping them, assisting them in the design of all the exterior cladding and metal. That is a huge piece for our team that we're bringing, to all the sales team. But that's one piece. So the design assist selling was a big piece for us. Fabrication was a huge piece for us, and VDC engineering is a big piece for us that we've gotten some incredible value, I think, from the integration. On the flip side, we've built a support services model. We have marketing, we have business development, we have accounting, we have legal. It's all in-house. We have human resources. I'm missing something, 2 or 3 things, safety. But basically, our goal is to basically help the operators go hunt work and then go get the work done and make the work or make great money doing the work, right? And keep everything else out. So onboarding, all that stuff, we do in-house as a support services piece. And I believe we do it really good comparatively. That was one piece that we thought we could bring on. There's nothing worse than sitting there in the middle of the day on a Wednesday, and then you get a legal layer that comes in that you have to figure out over the next 4 days and respond. And roofing happens a lot more than in metal. But that's like a big issue, is dealing with legal and HR issues that pop up. And the more people you have, it's just a lot of numbers. Dealing with that, you have to play defense all the time, sporadically. It's not in the plan throughout the week. So our goal is really to support that for the operators, to eliminate all that stuff so they can go out and actually go hunt down the work the best possible and make as much money possible and support the crews getting the work done.
So then let me say the opposite of that. How freaking nice is it to have a daggone attorney in the building? Oh my God in heaven. I get those same letters, just ink on a piece of paper. That's all it is. I've trained myself to not react 24 hours. Let's look at this crazy letter that came from the attorney of the other guy. But I just get to go, hey, John, what do you think? And John he just goes, oh yeah, it's a letter. Yeah. Okay. I would be like telling myself, making up all kinds of stuff, right? I've gotten better over the years, but still I'm making up stuff and diving in. And having that kind of skill here is just, yeah, when you say it takes it off the people in operations, that's big time true. Yeah. So that's wonderful, wonderful addition.
That's great.
Yeah.
And also, one thing too, Eric was limited before about what he wanted to go after some big project, but me didn't have the operational capability, but also needed the bonding capacity and the financial wherewithal. We have an unlimited bond capacity, so we can go after any project any size. We actually have a general contracting license. We can build a $200 million building if we wanted to. We just choose not to. We're a subcontractor, right? But in essence, we have the ability to go do a lot of things in a lot of places. So he's now had the ability to go and taken the ceiling off. He can go anywhere and do anything he wants, anywhere, any size.
About to win a big one, we think, in a couple of weeks. Probably twice as big as anything we've ever won. So that's the first example of the synergy of the two.
So now, how do you take these stories that you have, that you're blending these stories, and how do you share these with all of your employees? RJ, you said you had a couple leave from your original company because they didn't want to be part of something. How do you now take these stories and create a new story for your teams as a whole?
I think that was already part of the narrative already. And I think a couple of things that we were working through was logos and company names. And it's when you had a lot of people in the same building and they're all wearing different company shirts or hats, you feel like you're the same, but not. So trying to get everybody into one uniform way to where they call themselves a global employee is the transition. And that's a lot harder than it sounds because you got to do everything that way. Not just, you have to, we are like ripping off the walls. I've been telling everybody, we're ripping the roofing off the wall because we have waterproofing and metal everywhere, or wall panels everywhere. Like now we're trying to be more exterior envelope. So that's like a hard thing. Once you got the identity retrained, and people are actually adopting it and actually are talking like they are that identity, that's when you got it adopted, and that's when the power comes in my opinion.
Yeah, RJ, I want to jump in on that. What do you mean by art identity? When you get the identity created, what does that mean for you? And how do you do?
I think identity so obviously we got two separate entities, right, that have two separate identities, and then we're trying to take them and merge them together with a new identity. And the new identity includes all those things we just talked about, which are the values that we're getting from the merger and the values that Eric is getting from the merger. That's the new identity. So that new identity, when it comes to the ability to do a design assist sale capability or the ability to go to a hard bid, that's the new identity for sales, right? And then how are we going to take, what's the best value in that, and how do we leverage that value for the future trajectory of the business? And once the sales team is actually selling that way, the new identity. And same thing on the back end. Once we actually structure the back end where we've got all these different facets of the business, which includes engineering, VDC, fabrication, and actually install, once you've actually got enough backlog of that, I've always said he who has the power owns the market. He who owns the work has the power to own the market. So that quote makes that wrong. But I truly believe that if we have the work, the best people in the business will come. Because we take care of our people. Our people have not, anybody that's left didn't leave because we didn't take care of them. They left because they had something inside that they didn't want to deal with that we couldn't solve for them. But we take care of our people very well. They're our lifeblood. Our guys in the field, especially our guys in the field, guys and girls in the field. They are the hardest working people in our company, in my opinion. They're our all-stars. The office are slaves to them. We bust our ass and serve them as best we can. We've got the upside down pyramid here, and I don't think there's anybody in the field that I've talked to that didn't like working here, didn't like the way they were treated. So that's a big thing for us. So I know that people will come back, and we've got field people and office people. It's a little bit two different games that we play. But field people will come where the work is, and the best people will come to the companies who have the most work, and the best office people will come to people who are taking care of their office people. And office people are camaraderie, fun, success, structure, accountability for everybody holding each other accountable, some of our morals and values that we have.
Thanks, RJ.
Awesome.
What, looking out like in the future for the next 5 years, what is the biggest challenge for global?
You want me to answer that one? Eric?
Yeah,
You wanna
sure.
answer
Go
that?
ahead. I'll add my 2 cents. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been talking a lot. Go ahead.
No. Oh, biggest challenge. I think so. It's not going to be.
Yeah, what do you see?
Yeah. So what I see, it's not
Let's
going
go,
to be.
yeah,
It's not going to
yeah.
be the ability to get work. I think we can sell pretty well. I think for me, it's going to be, as always comes down to executing. So we need some help in execute. We got to learn to execute in bigger ways. But I think even more than that, it's about, when you talked about identity, I was thinking when you were talking, RJ, it's really hard to have people in a common story about where we're going. It's just harder. It's always harder than I think. And I think as we get bigger, it makes it harder and harder. There's little stories, little fiefdoms, right? And as the company gets bigger and bigger, and I've been part of super big organizations, right? I know you have a vision of where you want to go, so do I, is getting those stories in a way that give people space to make up their own stories within those but keep us aligned towards where we're headed. That gets harder and harder the bigger we get, man. That's probably we can solve technical stuff. We can hire people. I got such confidence now that if we need a senior person, I'd be like, oh, how am I going to find them before? Boom, we got to work, like you said, the shared services. Boom, we'll get it done. I don't want to minimize that, but we will. Like this group will get that done. Counting, whatever it might be, money, we'll take care of it. That's probably the thing that'll stop us or will slow us down. And fixing it is the part that's most exciting to me, to be honest with you. It's the most, or when I say fixing it, like enabling it is the most thing I'm really working to make. That's the offer I'm working to make here, honestly, top to bottom.
Thanks, Eric. RJ, how about what's yours?
Thanks, Eric. I would say that our number one, this goes back to the basics, is our customers want us to go other places. They have work they're doing. They want us to go do it for them. We deal with a lot of national accounts, a lot of national owners, a lot of national general contractors that have big corporate headquarters in some location, but they have satellite offices across the country. They want us to go work for them in other locations. We're trying to do the best we can to service them, but it's tough. I mean, you need the right people, you need the right structure, you need the right format. And it's hard to find good people and then also onboard them, get them into a structure that they can understand and operate effectively and be your brand. So I think the limiting factor for us is people, and the right people on the right bus, or the right seats on the right bus is really what we're looking for. And it's hard to find good leaders that fit our core values. But that's basically our crux is our customers want us to go a lot of places, and we haven't found enough right people to hire to support them.
Yeah, that's good.
Thanks, RJ.
Yeah, thank you.
Deb, go ahead. I think we're at the end of our space on our time,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
I want to have one fun question at the end. Do you have something in mind, Deb?
Oh, I think we got to go with movies. We'd like to have a little bit of fun at the end and hear more about you. Tell us what your favorite movie is, or a movie that you like to watch over, and maybe why. Why do you like that one?
There's only one.
Eric, I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
How-
it's easy. It's Caddyshack. I don't
And
know. You see why?
Why does Caddyshack? What?
Because it's silly. It's got one of my fun things I like to do, golf in it. I was a big Bill Murray fan growing up. It was full back in the day, and probably now if I watch it again, it's just full laugh, like full, I can say it, belly laughing at some of the stupidity in that thing, which is like a good life. Cry a little, laugh a
That's
little. Like
awesome.
that's the laugh part, and that one that's the first one that always pops in my mind for a favorite movie.
Cool.
That's awesome. Thank you, Eric. How about you, RJ?
I'm a comedy fan for sure, but I can't really set on one movie, but I like that dumb, funny stuff. So like Dumb and Dumber,
Dumb and Dumber,
Tommy
yeah.
Boy, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, that type of
Oh,
stuff.
cool.
You know, those are the type of movies I
Big
like.
Adam Sandler fan. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I like them because just you can watch them over again and they're just funny and they make you laugh. And I like to laugh. I like the humor as a contagious drug.
Yes, it is.
So
Yes.
It is, and it's good medicine,
Yes, it is.
right? It can make a big difference in your body just by having a good belly laugh. And when it comes to
Agreed.
those, and this will stay in the comedy line, right? Dodgeball.
it's a good one too.
And that is one of those shows that when I watched it the first time, I was actually on an airplane going across the ocean, and the stewardess came up and said, "Sir, are you okay?" Because I was laughing, still putting your headphones on, not laughing out loud, but bouncing up and down the seat because I'm laughing so hard. And I go, "This is good medicine." And I can still watch to this day if it's on. I go, "Oh yeah, we're gonna watch it for a little bit because it's such a good show." Good fun. Deb, how about you?
I got to go with Princess Bride. And one of the reasons for that is it's funny, before my husband and I even met each other. Is that right? Like, we both love that movie. And all of a sudden, whenever it comes on TV, it's the time where we will actually both spend the time to watch a movie together, because it's like, Princess Bride is on. We could rent it anytime we wanted to, right? But it's not only so entertaining and fantastical, the whole story of everything, but then I get to spend time with my husband while we're doing it. So that's pretty special too.
Yeah, thanks. I think my family could reenact the entire movie, Princess Bride, right? Because Garrett's going to be Andre, right? That's my son.
Very good.
He does the accent and everything perfect. So
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
cool. Eric and RJ, thank you for being on our podcast today.
Yeah.
It was a great conversation. I really appreciate your continuing to contribute to yourselves, but also contribute to us as we take our listeners on a journey of how to build a corporate culture that produces extraordinary accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you both so much. What a great conversation. And our listeners are going to be so jazzed to listen to this. So thank you. Thank you again.